Okay, so this video is about exponential growth and decay. You have your exponential growth, which is y, or also remember y can also be said as f of x, equals a times 1 plus r to the t or the x power. Your f of x or your y is your final amount. The a is your initial amount, also can be known as your y-intercept. R is your rate. It typically is given as a percent, but it needs to be as a decimal. So rate as a decimal. And then your exponential decay is the same exact thing, except it's 1 minus r. Okay, so going to the examples. Johnny buys a house in 2015 for $212,000. The value of his house increases 4% each year. Write the function that models this situation. What is the value of the house in 2026? So first off, we have A. Our initial value is $212. It is an increase. Okay, so we're dealing with a growth. And the rate, the R, is 4%, which to make that as a decimal, remember you just divide by 100, and that gives you 0.04. So the model or the function would be f of x equals our A is 212,000 times 1 plus our rate as a decimal to the x power or the t power. Now it wants to know what the value is in 2026. So it started in 2015, now it's 2026. So it's the new, do that again. So 2026 minus 2015. So that's 11. So x is going to equal 11. So you have f of x equals 212,000 times 1 plus, I'm going to go ahead and add those together. So it would just be 1.04 to the 11th power. So to find out the value of the house, you put that in your calculator. So we're going to use Desmos for this purpose, and I'm going to have 212,000 parentheses 1.04 end parentheses to the 11th power. It is extremely important you have the parentheses around it, and if you're not using Desmos, you're using a regular calculator. I'll show you what button to look for. So this is 326,364.26. 326,364.26, and then that's your answer. So let's look at this one. A wildlife biologist determines that there are approximately 200 deer in a region of a national park. The population grows at a rate of 7% per year. Write an exponential function and find what the population would be after 5 years. So it grows, so it's growth. So I'm going to use this formula. F of x equals a times 1 plus r to the x power. I have a is 200. Our rate is 7%, which when you divide that by 100, it gives you 0.07. So my function is just f of x equals 200 times 1 plus 0.07 to the, for the function, it's just going to be to the x power, okay? Then we are going to put our x is 5 because it's after 5 years. So I have f of x, f of 5 you could even put, 200 times 1.07 to the 5th power. So then in my calculator, 200 times 1.07 to the 5th power. So 280.5. You can't have a 0.5 of a deer. So it'd be 281 deer approximately. Now this says Spacetown has a population of 8,300 people. Each year the population decreases by 12%. What will the population be in 3 years? So this says decreases. So we have to use our decay formula, which is f of x equals a times if it will let me write, 1 minus r let me try over here. F of x times a 1 minus r to the x power. That's the formula we're going to be using. So my a is 8,300. My r is 12%, which as a decimal is 0.12. So I can first just make my function. So f of x equals 8,300 times 1 minus 0.12 to the x power. It says after 3 years, so that means I'm going to have x equals 3. So f of x equals 8,300 times 0.88 to the 3rd power. 1 minus 0.12 is 0.88. So then I'm going to go to my decimals or your calculator. 8,300 times 0.88 to the 3rd power. So that is 5,656.22. 5,656.22. It is a decay, it's decreased, so if this, your final answer is more than your initial, you know you did something wrong. All right, last example. A business purchases a computer system for $3,000. The value of the system decreases at a rate of 15% per year. Write an exponential function to model this situation. Then determine how much the computer will be worth after 4 years. So, of course, I'm going to use my decay. I have my initial value is 3,000. My rate is 15%. So, as a decimal, that's 0.15. So, my function is going to be f of x equals 3,000 times 1 minus 0.15 to the x power. It says after 4 years, so that means x is going to be 4. So then I have f of x equals 3,000. 1 minus 0.15 is actually 0.85 to the 4th power. So back to decimals, I have 3,000 times 0.85 to the 4th power. So 1566.02. 1566.02. Make sure you bring any questions you have to class. Have a good day.